right. Good evening. Good evening to each and every one of you. And thank you for joining us tonight, whether you're in the sanctuary or watching us online. Hold on. Got it. Whether you're in the sanctuary or watching us online, we say good evening and welcome to you. We have some special guests with us tonight. We have some persons who are here who are going to be dealing with money moves. They're going to be showing us how to manage our money, how to handle our debt. They're going to be dealing with the difference between good debt and bad debt and even credit repair. So I'm grateful to have these individuals here with us tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. Amen. Thankful to Sister Michelle Anderson for making this possible. We're grateful for her and her work that she continues to do with our church. And so I'm excited. So let's pray together tonight. God, I thank you for your grace, your mercy, your love, and your kindness. I thank you for allowing us to have this opportunity tonight. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of what it is we are about to learn tonight. I pray for our guests who are here, those who are in the sanctuary, those who are online. Bless us in Jesus' name, amen. You know, God does not just want us to be blessed spiritually, but he also wants us to be blessed in every area of our life, even concerning our money. And so not being a prosperity preacher in a sense, but showing you the ways in which God has allowed us to manage what we have been given. That's that term stewardship. It revolves around managing what we have been given. And God trusts us to manage the gifts that we have been given as well as the money that we have been given. And so we have some guests here tonight. Mr. Sims is here, and I think he's going to be dealing with debt, correct? Or the credit repair. He's dealing with financial literacy. So whatever that encompasses, he will be here. And then Mrs. Ringley is here to deal with investments. And so, all right, we're going to turn this over. There's a mic here, and once I get this one cleaned off, you'll be able to use this one as well. And I believe Mr. Sims is going to come and start us off. All right, let's give him a round of applause as he comes.
Need to use the microphone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, good evening. My name is Rob Sims. I am a success coach with the Welfare Reform Liaison Project, and I'm here tonight to talk about financial literacy. So how many people here know about financial literacy or know what it is? Nobody? Take a guess. Anybody? Okay, excellent. Well, basically, financial literacy is the ability to make decisions about your financial situations and to live a lifestyle that you want to live. And what I'm going to cover tonight with financial literacy is 4 areas. We're going to cover earnings, we're going to cover spending, savings, and credit. Now, does anyone know how people make money? Working, that's one of them. Okay? Working is one of them. Working is basically going to a 9-to-5 job but that is trading your time for your money because you make money based on the amount of time you put in. Now, there are 6 other ways that individuals can make money. Those ways are profit income, and profit income is where you actually have a good or service that you sell. Most of the profit income that you'll see are individuals who have businesses or they have a product that they sell. Another form of income is interest income. Does anyone know what interest income is? Yes. Well, that's close. Interest, say it again. Right. But interest income, more specifically, is basically lending your money out for others. Well, no, not quite loan shark. I mean, that's not the right thing to do with interest income. But no, interest income is something like a high interest savings account or a CD. So what you're doing is you're taking money, lending it to the bank, and the banks use it and they give it back to you. So it's kind of like playing the stock market, but it's not the stock market. It's a financial instrument that you can, again, just lend out your money. So you would buy something like a CD or a high-interest savings account, and then it makes money over time. So we call that interest income, okay? Another form of income, and I think people will know what this is rental income. Does anyone know what rental income is? Rental income. Right. That's any asset that you have that you rent out. So it can be a house, it can be a car, it can be equipment. You know, if you go to Home Depot, you'll see they rent out equipment all the time. So that's another form of income that you can have along with interest income, earned income, and profit income. Now, another income, and this is a passive form of income, is called dividend income. Does anyone know what dividend income is? No? Well, basically, dividend income is receiving money from as a shareholder in a company. So that's another form of the stock market where you can take your money, buy stock in a company, and they'll pay you quarterly for the profits that the company earns. Now, it's usually once a quarter, so every 3 months you should receive what's called a dividend payment. You were saying? It helps toward retirement because the key is to keep your money in the dividend stock so that you get payments every quarter. So a lot of people like to put their money in and they'll just leave it in there. That's exactly right. You can buy different amounts of stock or different amount of shares. So your dividend payout depends on how much stock you have. And then you're also going to look at the performance of the company. So if the performance is well and the company's making money, then you'll see higher dividends paid out every 3 months. So you can buy stock in like Apple Computers, you can buy it in Disney, you can buy it in Dell Computers. Okay? Now, another form of income is called capital gains. Now, capital gains is just like dividend income in a sense that you are making money off of capital assets. One capital asset is a house. You buy a house, that house makes money. You can sell that house in future years, and it can be a profit for you. So there are many different ways that you guys can make money. And the key to making money is that you want to produce a lifestyle that you want. The biggest thing with making money is how to save money. Now, well, I know people say that. People say that. There's a very easy way to save money. You basically just don't spend what you don't have. So you get a certain amount of money, and then with that money, you want to create what's called a budget. Now, budgets are pretty easy to, make up and create, but you've got to know what's coming in. So a lot of times people, when they get their money, they usually spend it on what they want as opposed to what they need. And that's a bad way to do things because the best way to save money is to pay yourself first. And by that I mean you get a check, the first thing you want to take out is the money to yourself that goes to savings. Then you take whatever's remaining. That remaining should take care of your needs. It should take care of your wants. And then the last thing you should spend on should be your savings or your investments. Yes, sir. Say that again. It's true. That is true. But now when it comes to finances, the right things, they're a little different. Because in today's world, we have a lot of other things that we have to have. Gas for your car. You've got to pay your utilities. You've got to pay your rent. You've got to have groceries. Yes, ma'am. That's a great question. And the easy answer is yes. Put it into a savings account, but you can choose a different type of savings account that has a different interest yield. So again, going back to the interest income, that's a part of savings. So you can take $100, $200, put into a high interest yield savings account, and it gets you, well, it produces money every month. Now, another way to save, you can, again, savings are good, but you can buy stocks. If you buy one stock of Disney, let's say at $200, that savings you keep long term. You'll keep that savings, and it should produce income over years. But again, savings is all about knowing what kind of money you're bringing in. So you have to know what money you have to spend, and then you have to know what money you have to spend. Yes. You definitely do. And in today's world, with the stock market being so volatile, you have to always watch your stocks because anything can happen. You know, a couple of months ago, cryptocurrency was the biggest thing out here. It's done. I mean, it's basically crashed to the point where people are losing money now. So when you get into the stock market, you have to watch it every day. You have to study trends. You have to know what companies are, producing and what companies are not. But I'm going to leave that to our investment guru because that gets a little deep, because there are things you can do in the stock market that you can make money daily, you can make it weekly, or you can make it over time. But I'm going to let her do that because that there takes a little more time. Okay? Any more questions about income? No? Okay. So we were talking about saving, and what I'm going to move to from savings is spending. Now, there are a couple of different ways that we spend money. Yes, ma'am. Okay. 6 is going to be dividend income. Dividend income is buying stocks and receiving dividend payouts on a quarterly basis. That's every 3 months. Yes. And then you missed earned income. Earned income can be summed up in one word: a job. 9 to 5, that's Monday through Friday, part-time. But I want to emphasize that with a job, you're trading your time for money. And so that's why I talked about the other forms of income, because you only have but 24 hours in a day. What you do with that time determines how much money you're going to make. So a lot of people like to say, let your money work for you. So have a savings account. Maybe buy some stocks, or maybe own property that you can rent it out, or have a good or service that you can sell. You know, a good or service can be anything. It could be a hat. It could be T-shirts. It can be buttons. Or a service could be filing tax returns. Very, very lucrative business if you choose to get into it. But filing tax returns is something that has to be done every year, and people will come and pay you to file their tax returns. It's real easy now. It's not like the days where you had to write it out and look up a table. Electronics does it all. We have software programs that can do it for as little as $10 per return. Question? About 5 years ago, that would have been an easier question. With the pandemic, things have changed a little bit. So now we have, increased prices of everything from gasoline to milk, yes, even going to a movie theater. So with fixed income, we usually like to tell people, create a budget. Look at the things that you need, look at the things that you want, and then still look at savings. Because with a fixed income, you know how much money you're getting every month. You should know exactly how much you have to spend, and then you just cut corners. A lot of good banks and good savings accounts, they have savings tools that you can use to manage your money. You just have to see what's necessary. So let's say you're going to the grocery store, you know you need something to eat, try coupons. Coupons work. Yeah, absolutely. And then also, when you have your fixed income, look at some of the things that you can replace. So let's say you have cable, okay? That may be one thing you don't need. And in today's technology, you have something called, what's that little thing? Fire Stick. There you go. For $9.99 a month, you can have all the shows and entertainment that you need. So with that fixed income, it's really just looking at what are your needs, what are your wants, and how to invest. Now, we'll say this. As far as fixed income, you're probably at an age where you can put money into what's called a 401k or an IRA. I highly recommend that. Oh, no, do it. Because at the end of the year, you can deduct how much your taxable income is by investing into an IRA or 401k. So it's always a great investment, and it's a payout with that. Anytime you put money in, it's going to grow interest. That's another interest income. That money comes back to you in years down the road. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, so again, yes, sir. Well, Pastor, no, that's actually the right answer. Social Security is getting hit. Right now we're paying into it, and Social Security, no offense to my present company, I love all you guys, but you guys are going to get most of the benefits, and Pastor, we may not. When we hit 55 or 60, they're talking like it's going to be solvent. There won't be anything left of it. Now, the problem with that is that we're paying Social Security benefits for all types of things. So not only are we paying it for our elders, but we're paying it for those that are disabled. Yes, you have a question? Yes.
I was saying that what's going to change for future generations is eligibility, okay? Like your age, right now is 62. That first minimum age may be raised to 65. Full benefit age will probably be raised to 70. Again, originally Social Security was only designed for widows and children, but now there are multiple groups that get Social Security benefits. That's going to change. Right now, you have persons who never worked, maybe they were stay-at-home wives, that can still get Social Security. That's going to change. If you have not input into the system for the number of quarters, working years, chances are you will not be eligible for Social Security unless you are disabled. So the eligibility moat is going to narrow to keep it solvent. Hence, you better pay attention to financial literacy. So the next generations. So those,
Well, well, I think you're going to get something. It just may not be what you think. It may be a little less. But that's a great point. And that goes back to
Well, I know that you need 40 credits in a sense to kind of gain the benefits and stuff like that. I got to keep working. I got 36, so let me get my 4 and then I'll get it done.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly. And you know, they're also going to have to use money management skills because not only just getting a 401k, but you have to know how to manage that money to put it into the 401k. And that goes back to the spending. There are many ways to spend money, right? First is cash. The great thing with cash, it's on hand. When it's gone, you can't spend no more. So that can kind of keep you in check as far as money management, but you also have to be careful how you spend that money. Remember, it's a need, then your want, then you're investing. So you have to spend wisely. Another form of spending money is through debit cards or credit cards. While those give you better access to different services, because you can't buy online items with cash, you need a credit card or debit card. The only thing with that is that credit cards, you want to pay that credit card off every 30 days because the interest rate now in America is roughly around 20, 23%. So that means 20% of your money that you don't pay, they're charging you every month. And that's where people get in trouble because you want to make sure that your balances are below a certain level, and they usually like to tell you to keep it under 30%. So 30% of your balance should be what you owe, and you should have 66% available for credit. So credit can be tricky. Debit cards are good because they also can access those other forms of payments, but credit cards don't have the interest rate that credit cards do. Debit cards don't have the same interest rate as credit cards do. So it's a great form of payment, but you got to be careful because you're zipping that card through there. Banks now have overdraft fees. There was a time where you just spent the money in your account and you were done. Now they're going to give you a little extra leeway to put you more in debt. So you want to be careful how you spend money and what money you spend. Cash is good. Credit cards are good. Debit cards are good. You just got to know how to spend that money and make sure you're paying it off. Okay? Question? With using credit cards to pay your bills, the rule of thumb I have is that you still want to pay it off. See, credit is used so that you can make purchases and you don't have cash on you. But credit cards have a 30-day life cycle. So every 30 days you want to pay it off or you're going to be charged interest. So a good practice is to make sure when you use your credit card, pay it off at the end of the month. If you can't pay it off, pay half of it, whatever that balance is. But you want to make sure you're paying that bill every month, and you want to pay it on time. You do not get anything extra for paying early other than paying early, which is a great thing, but that's the thing with credit. It's revolving. So they want to see you using the credit, which means every month just pay it off. Yes. Absolutely. In fact, paying more helps bring your balance down, which can increase your credit score. Because remember, the credit bureaus are reporting every month the activity on your credit cards. The minimum is fine, but again, that's not helping you build that credit. Because the way the credit cards work, they're looking at your activity. So if you're going to spend, say, $500 in a month, they pretty much expect you to pay that $500 off by the end of the month. The thing with the credit card is that they'll give you a minimum amount, So if you pay that, you just keep using the credit card. But that's not helping to build your credit, because that shows just a little irresponsibility on your part, because the credit bureaus want to see you're maintaining a balance somewhere around 33%. So 1/3 of your credit card needs to always be your balance or lower. And to answer your point, you can pay more, but remember, every month the credit card statement is still going to say you have to pay on that certain date. So you still have to pay the date. My thing is I always pay my credit card off a week before the due date, and I pay the due date. So make sure I keep about 10% of a balance. Anything that I spend, I make sure I pay it off at the end of the month. Yes.
You kind of expound a little bit on credit card versus the bank's credit card to help you increase to help you with
Yes.
credit.
Yeah, what you're talking about is a secured versus an unsecured credit card account. With the bank, a secured credit card means you're putting the money up for access to a credit card. Now, you're still being reported to the credit bureau, but you're just using your money. Now, I think that's an excellent way to build credit, because if a bank can offer you a credit card and it's secured, they'll see credit card activity throughout the history of that account. So when you go to unsecured credit card, that's like your Visas, your MasterCards. Those sometimes come with what's called a yearly fee. I don't like those yearly fees. For some reason, you get charged $33 a year to use a credit card. So it can be good or bad, but just know unsecured, that's not the money that you put up. Secured is your money. And both are excellent forms of credit. Yes, sir.
401k, that's a good idea?
Depends on what you're borrowing it for. The question was, is it a good idea to borrow against your 401k? The 401k is designed for you to have for retirement. Yeah, absolutely. So keep in mind, again, the 401k is designed for retirement. So when you borrow against that 401k, you're paying an early withdrawal penalty, and you still got to pay the money back. Yes, yes, but there is a charge to that. So, depending on what you need it for, it's always there for you. And I just recommend, if you don't have to touch it, don't touch it. But if you do, just pay it back, because you're giving them extra money for early withdrawal of the money that you're investing. When you say get the interest, you mean he'll get it back? Yeah, and see, that's great. That's why 401k is a great investment strategy, because that is a way to save money. And you should always check with your employer, because they do matching situations where they'll match whatever you put into the 401k. And remember, that's for retirement. So they want you to keep it in so that it can grow and you can get that interest. So anything you take out before that deadline, they're just going to charge you an early interest penalty. You just have to pay it back. But if the option is there and you need it, it's your money. See, that goes into investing. So I'm going to let my counterpart talk about that. But again, look at the 401k, because like the pastor was saying, Social Security, it's not guaranteed like it used to be. So we want to invest our time, invest our money in ourselves. So when you get the chance, definitely put it in 401k. If you get a chance, get you an IRA account. You know, they've got many different IRAs that do the same thing. And basically what you're doing is using that money, you're putting it into stocks. You're putting it into companies that are on the stock market, and so those monies should accumulate over time. But you just want to make sure that you have a budget that speaks to your needs, your wants, and definitely your investments and your savings. Yes, sir. That's what credit does. You've got something called good debt and bad debt. So when you pay your electricity bill, let's say you pay off, you get some furniture from Rent-A-Center. That's not good debt. That's bad debt because it doesn't count towards your credit score. The credit bureaus want to see you using credit. So they want to see you buying things like a house. They want to see you buying things like a car, okay? Rent is a different subject, but there is a way you can get credit for paying rent every month, okay? It's called creditkarma.com, and you can use your rental payments as far back as it goes to increase your credit score. So when you see your credit score dropping, to answer your question, it's because you're paying on debt that's not counted from the credit bureaus. Exactly. And again, credit cards can do that for you. You don't have to get a credit card that's got $5,000 on it. You can get a credit card that's $500. You can get a secure credit card through your bank. You keep that credit card up, pay it every month for a year, I guarantee you the bank will come to you and ask if you want an unsecured credit card. And that's a great way to learn how to manage your money, because if you can learn how to pay your own self, then you know it'll be easy to pay once you get the money that's from the bank, because the practice will be there. So you're absolutely right. If you have any sort of open accounts, let's say you have a charge account with a jewelry store. Go buy the jewelry, but pay it off. Pay it off every month if you can. Keep it at a low minimum. Medical bills, not quite as good as you would a credit card, but it's something you do want to keep payments up to date. Because even though it may not be the best form of debt, it can be the worst form of debt if you don't pay it. So it's just all a matter of what you're paying and what accounts you have open. Any other questions? Sir. You know, you're right. And we're going to go back to that lesson. You have to know how money works. You have to know what kind of money that you have to spend, and you have to have a savings plan. A budget is not a hard thing to do. It's just a hard thing to follow. We have to make sure that we're putting realistic expectations on our budget and on ourselves. So again, if you make a certain amount of money, if you get paid each week, if you get paid every other week, you get paid once a month. You budget your spending based on when you get paid. And I always believe, again, pay yourself first. because you can go out there and you can spend money on anything you want. But if you pay yourself first, invest in yourself, 20 years from now, you can have $200,000, $300,000 in the bank if you invested wisely. You can do it with different mechanisms. You can do stocks. You can do bonds. You can invest in companies. Or you can invest in yourself. Again, today's lesson is financial literacy, understanding income, understanding how you spend your money, how to save money, and how to use credit. Okay. Well, I'm going to pass the mic to my investment guru here. I thank you guys for coming out and giving me the time today. Is there any other questions?
What was it? Is Credit Karma a good source to manage your credit score?
It is. They can give you different money management techniques, and they have different things you can use on that site. With creditkarma.com, there is a monthly fee. That monthly fee usually is about $20, $25, but they can help track spending. They can help show where your investment dollars are. They can show you your money's coming in and your money's going out. So it's a great tool if you want to manage your money. .com. Again, there is a monthly fee, but it is well worth it. And, you know, if you guys just take 5 minutes a day, all this stuff is real easy to understand. You know, the companies like to make it more complicated and like to throw out these huge terms and different scenarios. But if you look at it each day, study your money, study where it's going, it'll all become natural to you.
Can we give Mr. Sims a hand and thank him so much? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And to those who are online, just give him some emojis and all of that. I think we got about 15 to 20 people online, so we thank God for them. All right, we've got our next panelist coming, and she's going to introduce herself, and she's going to take us on another journey. All right, let's give her a hand as she comes.
Good evening. Thank you, first of all, to Ms. Anderson for inviting me to come and speak with you about investing. And I will have to say, first let me tell you, my name is Myrna Wigley, and I am an advisor with Edward Jones. Okay. All right. Been in the industry since 2003, and I will have to say I started teaching financial literacy. Middle school girls, and it just kind of grew over the years to high school girls, college girls, voila, big girls. So I want to just kind of fortify some things that he said, kind of put the nail in the coffin, because having financial literacy is the first step to investing. A lot of people call me and approach me about investing, but they have not gotten the foundation in place. And the foundation before you even start investing is having a high level of confidence with financial matters. And how do you get that? You get that by learning more about it. That is how you become confident in what you're doing. Building that high level of confidence takes a couple of things, just like he mentioned. First of all, knowing what it takes to run your household. Know your numbers. Know what you bring in. Know what's going out. Know what it takes to sustain you. You know, in the industry, we like to tell clients to have 6 to 12 months worth of income of living expenses in their savings account. And people like to look at you sideways. Well, that's a lot of money, 6 months. But how many people going through 2020 with the pandemic wish they had 12 months of savings in their savings account of living expenses? Okay? So the savings is not as a punishment. It's preparation for the unexpected. And COVID-19 was certainly the unexpected. So having that, and it may take a couple years to save 6 to 12 months worth of living expenses, not income, living expenses. And it takes some sacrifice. But if you're determined to do it and you're focused, you'll be surprised where you can cut money. You can cut your own hair. You can do your own nails, okay? You can do your own ironing. Everything doesn't have to go to the dry cleaners. So you can cut money out of your budget no matter how small or big your budget is. You think that you have to make a lot of money to save? No, I know a lot of people that make a lot of money that still can't save because they spend everything they make. So it's not about how much you make, it's how much you save and how disciplined you can be. One of the other things about financial literacy is protection. And that's something that sometimes in our community we don't quite, it's not maybe enough money left to do that. And when I say protection, I mean insurance. So there are a lot of things that you can either you insure it or you take care of it on your own, okay? We can start with the basic one, our income. Disability insurance is provided to protect your income, okay? Should you become disabled, not able to work for a short period of time or for a long period of time, that insurance insures your income. It ensures that whether you are able to work or not, your income is going to continue to come in to take care of your family and your needs. The other one that we sometimes have a hard time reconciling with is life insurance. Sometimes we get enough life insurance just what we have at work, or we have just enough to bury us, okay? I want to challenge you to think a little past that, okay? Because we can either die with a little bit of legacy, or we can die with a lot of legacy. But the bottom line is we're going to all pay that price, okay? So it's not about making somebody rich, it's about making my loved ones secure. It's about making them secure. So I challenge you to buy as much life insurance as you can afford, not just enough to put you in the ground. Okay? He talked about debt, lowering our personal debt. Lowering your personal debt does a lot of things for you. I'm sorry. I say it depends on your individual situation, okay? Money that's earned in the stock market is taxable income. Life insurance proceeds are tax-free. It's the only benefit that's tax-free other than municipal income. That's another session. But it all depends on your individual situation. If I have children that are under 21 that still have to be raised, no, I'm buying more life insurance because if something happens to me before they are grown, I want to make sure there's enough money for them to continue to live in our same house, to go to college, to still do the activities that they were able to do while I was alive. As my children become adults, I may lessen the amount of life insurance because the remaining surviving spouse won't need as much. He's not still raising children. Okay, so it just depends on your situation. That's all. Caregiving, you know, we're living longer. We have access to better health care, and we're living longer. And at some point in our life, we're going to need help. Caregiving is can be a huge responsibility for a family, cost-wise. If you're the one receiving the care or you're the one giving the care, it can be a huge financial responsibility, all right? So that's one of the areas of protection as well. You can insure against it or you can pay for it out of pocket. So if you are, you know, how they say, stacking Benjamins and you can afford to pay for assisted care or someone to come in and help with a loved one or fees for, you know, a facility, then by all means. But that's something else to consider. Finally, engagement with a financial professional, okay? So there's a time when you're ready to engage with a financial professional, when you've gotten all the things in place that Mr. Sims talked about as far as savings, as far as your credit. You know, there are a lot of people who can, I'm for one, I can put gas in my car. I can even put fluid in the windshield wiper thing, you know. I can even check the oil. But if I need a new alternator, I can even jump the battery because I know which cable's going which. But if I need a new alternator or I need another engine dropped in, I'm going to a mechanic. I'm going to someone who does that every day, who has a broader knowledge than I do on just the basics. So when it comes to your finances, yeah, you can get to a certain point on your own, but at some point, when you've gotten your savings together, you've gotten your credit together, you've maxing out your 401k, and you think, okay, I still have money left. What else is there? What else? That's the time to engage with a financial professional who does it every day. All right? Because most of my clients don't want to watch the market every day. That's what they pay me to do. It's like, no, I just want to know that I'm going to be okay when I get ready to retire, or whatever goal that they're investing for. And that will lead me into the sheet that she passed, that Ms. Anderson passed out. Everyone have one of these? And I'm going to go through a little quickly because I don't want to keep you too long. Okay. When it comes to investing, you really got to look at the big picture. I will have clients call me often wanting to invest in something that their neighbor told them about. Okay. Well, not every investment is for everybody, because you first have to look at what your goals are. Okay. And on the front page of that, the bigger picture, these 5 steps right here are what I use to develop strategies for everyone. All right. For those of you online, maybe you can't see this, but the first step is evaluating where you are today, okay, in terms of your financial wellness. Where are you today? Are you just getting started in terms of your savings? Are you midway through, children out of the house, now you're ready to focus on your retirement, okay? Are you already at retirement and you're looking at ways to make your money last the rest of your life? So then you take the second step is, where would you like to be? You know, where would you like to be 10 years from now financially? Okay. Third step, can you realistically get there based on the resources that you have? We have to be realistic about what we have. All right. Number 4, how do you get there? That's where engaging with that financial professional comes into play, in developing a strategy to help you get there and helping you stay on track. It's like having an academic advisor when you get to college, okay? Now, you wait until your junior year to go see that academic advisor, you're going to be in trouble, because all up until that point, you've just been taking whatever classes your roommate said was easy, taking whatever professors, oh, he's good, he's easy, you can pass that class, you know. Taking all of these classes that other people suggested because it worked for them, only to get to your junior year to find out that you don't have the credits you need to graduate. So that oftentimes is what happens to people when they take financial advice from people who are not in the position to give it. You get to a certain point in your life and you don't have what you need to retire. You don't have what you need to send your children to college. You don't have what you need for legacy and estate planning, whatever your goal is. Wherever you are in your process, there is someone who can help you. So if you are banking at a commercial bank or credit union, they have advisors there, okay? You are a customer there. You can go to them. Even if you don't know what you don't know, say, listen, I don't know what I need to be asking, but I need to be asking something, okay? So tell me what it is I don't know. This is what I want to do. I want to start putting up money to help my grandchildren go to college. What kind of accounts, what kind of tools or resources are available to help me do that, okay? Then you can find out about the different things that are available for education planning. It's also important to understand investing. First of all, I talked about developing a strategy, okay? And that strategy should be based on your long-term goals, your time frame, and your risk tolerance. You know, if someone comes and tells me I need my money to double in 6 months, I tell them, you should have started a long time ago. There isn't anything legal that I know of that can double your money in 6 months, okay? So understanding your time frame. Wealth is built over time, not overnight, okay? You can get rich overnight, and you can lose it overnight. It's hard to lose wealth because wealth is built over time, and it goes a little deeper. Compound interest is a beautiful thing. And it's something that you cannot regain with a lump sum. It's something that has to be gotten over time. So another thing that I hear from clients often is that, well, I'm going to come and see you when I get my taxes because I'll have a lump sum to invest. Well, what happens is between the time that your tax refund comes and the time you make the declaration, a tree falls on the house and I need a new roof. So now this tax money got to go to get my new roof. Well, a little bit on a consistent basis will go further than that lump sum. Okay? So the same $6,500 a year that you can put into your IRA, you can put it in there I think it's like $438 a month and still get to that $6,500. Sometimes it's hard to come up with a lump sum of $6,500, but you can do it at $400 a month. Now, I know some of you may be thinking $400 a month. Well, let me tell you, I know a lot of people that got car notes for more than $400 a month. Okay? And like he mentioned about the cable, I'm here to tell you, having cable in every room is not that much on TV to watch. All right? So, yeah, I got cable on one TV. The other 3 TVs, we got a Roku stick, but you got to have a teenager in your house to reprogram it for you. I do have to tell you that. Okay? The other thing I want to tell you about investing is stick with quality. Okay? Quality is quality from paper towels all the way to investments. You ever buy a cheap roll of paper towels? You take about 5 or 6 of them to clean something up, as opposed to just a thicker paper towel. It may cost a little more, but you only need one to wipe up what you're wiping up. It's the same way with investments. What makes a quality investment? First of all, you can't guarantee future performance because we don't have a crystal ball, but you can look at a company's past performance, okay? You can look at the financial stability of the company. You can look at the product or service that they offer, all right? And whether or not it's a profitable company. If they are profitable, if they have a solid management team, look at their future earnings, and then also look at what their product or service is. Now, he talked about cryptocurrency a little bit. There's always some type of investment fad coming out, always. So right now it's cryptocurrency. Let's see, last year, what was it? Anybody know? Marijuana stocks. Marijuana stocks and cannabis industry, okay? That was the big investment a year ago. Let's see. Anybody think of any others? How about pyramid schemes? Now, that's been some years back. I'm dating myself a little bit now. But what I want to tell you is there's always a new get-rich investment, okay? I'm telling you, unless you're the one that comes up with it and takes everybody else's money, that's the only one that makes any money in it, okay? Cryptocurrency is likely to be here, but it still has a lot of legislative and regulatory hoops to jump through, and it is very risky. Yes, it can shoot up 800% in one day, and it can drop 1,200% the next day, okay? So unless you are a day trader, and that is your job, just to watch that screen all day and to buy and sell at the precise time, that's likely not the investment for you. So it's a digital currency. You know, dollar bills weren't always the currency in our society. The barter system, years ago in the 1800s, the barter system was what was used for exchanging goods and services. And then gold and silver was the first currency before dollars were actually created. So it's just a new form of currency that really has no tracking record. So right now with our currency, if you use your debit card to pay for something, there's a third party involved between you and the vendor, which is the bank, which is keeping records of transactions, okay? With digital currency, there is no third party. It's just you and the other person, the miner on the other end of the computer. So the risk there is if you lose your password and your username, there's no one to reset it. You're just out of your account. The other risk is there's no one to talk to about anything. So there's no accountability there. And because that risk is so high, that's why the reward is so high if you know what you're doing. So now there are some in the millennial generation and some in our generation too who are more technically engaged and know what they're doing. It can work for them. The benefits, the profit is high, but so are the risks. And the opportunity for gain is usually associated with the amount of risk that comes with the investment. Okay? So, speaking of investments, you have, again, let me back up a little bit, sticking with that quality, because I want to give you an example of what I think of as a quality investment. So, you think about utilities, okay? Everybody uses electricity. Residential homes, apartments, businesses, cities, states, the government, everybody uses electricity. And utility stocks pay a dividend. I only pretty much buy dividend paying stocks because of the income, okay? Utilities, they're going to do well whether the economy is doing well or not. It's not based on whether the economy is doing well. It's not based on whether we're employed or unemployed. Somebody's going to pay the utility bill. If not you, there's a resource for assistance, in getting the utility bill paid. So utilities are what I would call a quality sector. Now, you can narrow that down to specific companies in utilities, whether it's Duke, whether it's Atlanta Gas Light, whether it's Georgia Power. There's a multitude of utilities to select from, whether it's electricity, gas, water, okay? So that's what I mean by a quality stock. The third thing I want to talk to you about is diversifying, okay? And that is into different types of investments. So you have stocks that generally are they have a little more movement to them than, let's say, bonds. Stocks are our own investment, ownership. When you buy a stock in a company, you become part owner. And as you know, with ownership comes a little more risk, okay? When you purchase your home, you're the owner. If the pipes burst, it's your responsibility to replace them. Whereas when you're renting a place, if the pipes burst, you can call the landlord and say, hey, you call the owner, right? You need to get over here and fix this pipe. So ownership comes with its responsibilities, but it also comes with its benefits, because as the owner of the home, the equity that builds in the home belongs to who? It belongs to you. So it's the same with the stocks. The dividends, when a company is profitable, like he mentioned, at the end of the year, they split the profit with the owners of the company through dividend payments, okay? Then you have bonds. Bonds are a loan type of investment where you loan your money to an entity to use, and they pay you interest on that. Let's say the city of High Point wanted to build its own airport, okay? And in order to raise money, they said, we're going to sell bonds. We're going to sell $10,000 bonds with a 10-year maturity. And we'll pay everybody who buys one 10% interest a year, okay? So you give the city of High Point your $10,000. Here you go. They take it, and every year, twice a year, they will send you $500 twice a year, which is $1,000. That's 10% of your $10,000, okay? 10 years pass, they built their airport. They say, here you go. Thank you very much, citizen A, B, and C. Here's your $10,000 back. We finished our project. Now, the only problem with bonds is that they should only be a part of your portfolio because they will not keep pace with inflation. Now, true enough, you got your $1,000 income each year, which you could pay property taxes with, use for Christmas shopping, use for a trip, pay bills, whatever the case may be. But 10 years later, when they give you that original principal of $10,000 back, it has not kept up with inflation. So that $10,000, 10 years later, is only going to buy probably about $7,000 worth of goods and services. So you see why it's important to diversify. You need some stocks to continue to grow. You need bonds, perhaps to provide income. Bonds are a little more stable. They will keep your portfolio value from swinging really widely when the market is volatile, okay? So that is why it's important to diversify your portfolio among different types of investments. There are a lot more than just stocks and bonds. Don't have time to get through all of them tonight. Does anyone have a question? I know I've been talking a lot, and I want to pause for a second. The minimum amount to invest. So that depends on where you're investing, okay? Credit unions usually have a lower threshold, a more affordable threshold. Pardon me? With Morgan Stanley. So probably $1,000 in an IRA. If you're doing an IRA, probably their threshold is probably $1,000. If you're doing stocks, for stocks really to be cost effective, yes, you need to do at least $1,000. You know, getting $100 is going to be like getting $5 worth of gas in a Hummer. I'm just saying, it's not going to take you very far. Sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The credit union. So there are advisors, financial advisors that work for the credit union, in the credit union, okay? So you could go there if you were wanting to open an individual retirement account. Let's say you work someplace that doesn't have a 401k, all right? You can still save for your own retirement with an individual retirement account. At the credit union, yes. Banks as well, Morgan Stanley, absolutely. And it's called an individual retirement account, an IRA. And they can help you open that account. They can help you, they should talk to you about how much risk you can take, how much time you are investing the money, and can help you pick out investments to invest in inside that IRA. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Because there are two different types of IRAs. You have a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA. One is, the difference is the tax position of the money. Okay? So your traditional IRA operates pretty much like your 401k, in that the money that goes in there is pre-taxed. So when you put money into a traditional IRA, everything that you put in there, you can write off dollar for dollar on your income tax. Okay? The Roth IRA is funded with after-tax money. You don't get a tax deduction there. Your tax benefit in a Roth IRA is on the back end, meaning that when you take your money from the account in retirement, it's tax-free. Not like the 401k and the traditional IRA, because they gave you a tax credit on the front end. So when you get to retirement and start to withdraw your money, not just your principal, but everything it earned is taxable. So yes, some people do have a 401k, and they also contribute to a Roth IRA, so that when you get to retirement, not all of your income is taxed. You got a tax-free bucket that you can withdraw from as well. Okay. Anybody else? Well, I could go on and on because I love talking about investing. I love not just talking about it, but, you know, giving information and helping people to really understand how to build wealth long term. And again, I say long term because think about it, it's not just for us that are here, it's for the generations that are coming behind us in our family. If our ancestors only thought about themselves, we wouldn't be standing here today. So you've got to be willing to plant some seeds that you may not be alive to see grow, but that you've got the faith to know that it's going to sprout at some point in time. And they will remember Grandma Myrna, who planted something for me. And hopefully they will be good stewards of it. And of talking and teaching them, so they will be. So that's all I have for you. I have more, but I don't want to keep you too long this evening. So Sister Michelle Anderson knows how to find me.
Can we just give a round of applause and some emojis to Miss Myrna for blessing us with that information, and to Mr. Sims. I know he had to step out, but thank you so much for those of you who are in the sanctuary and our online viewers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I tell everybody we're in this hybrid mode. You know, people are still online and some people who are willing to come in. So thank you. Thank you, thank you to Miss Michelle Anderson, who's our faithful member here. Thank you so much for putting this together. When I said I wanted to do something different for Tuesday Tune-Ups, and I wanted to talk about some investments and financial literacy, she hit the ground running and she had this started. So listen, for those of you who were not here tonight in person, you're gonna miss out because Miss Michelle is a giver, and so she's got some goodie bags for us, and I ain't telling you what I got. I ain't telling you nothing. I ain't gonna tell you nothing. You should have been here. So we thank God for Mr. Sims and Miss Wingley from Edward Jones for blessing us tonight with that rich information. Next week is our last Tuesday tune-up for this month, where we're doing this kind of session, these kinds of sessions. And so we're going to have Miss Natasha. She's going to be with us next week talking about end-of-life preparation. So as we talked about investment and doing something for the generation that is to come behind us, Miss Natasha will be here on next week to deal with end-of-life preparation, learning how to make sure we have life insurance and making sure we have proper burial and wills and testaments and all of that, because I want you to make sure you leave me at least the car that you drive. I'm just messing with you. Please don't put that out there. Please, I'm just messing. I'm really, y'all know me. I just like to play. I'm really just messing with you. But make sure you put your family in your will. So listen, when you get ready to transition, you don't want your family then to be fighting over stuff. Make sure that stuff is written out and all of that, because people change when death hits their family. When death comes, things just get out of control. So make sure you do that. Let's pray together as we get ready to go. God, I thank you for allowing people to come into our homes and into our church and into our lives to better our lives. We thank you for Mr. Sims, and we thank you for Miss Wingley. I pray your blessings upon them. I pray your blessings upon their careers, and as they continue to help others, I pray that, God, you would continue to bless them. I thank you for those who are in the sanctuary and those who are watching online. Be with us in Jesus' name, amen. Family, don't forget that on Sunday we're celebrating 42 years of ministry, and so I'm excited about being able to do that. All right, y'all greet Miss Wingley and say, make sure you wear your blue. Deaconess Wright wanted me to remind you, make sure you wear your blue as we celebrate 42 years. I love each and every one of you, always praying for you. Good night. Peace.